today. Today I'm doing a video that I've been dying to do for a really long time, but I'm doing an all about foundations video. That means that I want you guys to know about the best foundations that are there on the market. Obviously, I mean, there are more out there that I don't own, so therefore I haven't tried them out, and you know, if you guys come across them, I'd love to know like what has really worked for you. But these are the ones that I love, not necessarily just for me, but this, like, I'm gonna explain to you guys what I use it for, why it's good, what kind of skin tone, all that kind of stuff. So, and I'm also including tinted moisturizers in here. My favorite foundation ever is the NARS Sheer Glow. This is just a phenomenal product. I'm gonna start with the packaging. The packaging honestly gets a 0. I hate it because you don't get a pump with this. You have to buy it separately from what's it called? The NARS website, and they're usually out of it. Some Sephora's have it, some don't. Mine has never had it, so I've never been able to get the pump for this. The formula in here, though, is amazing. It's very, very, very lightweight. It's not something that's ever going to look heavy, even if you take it on, which is a big deal. This is the NARS Sheer Glow, so it has a sheer glow effect. They also have a sheer matte. It's just as good, just for a different type of skin tone. Now, or skin type. So this foundation is not amazing for people with oily skin. I have really oily skin and I know that. Without a good primer, this fails miserably. It's not going to last all day on my skin. This has an amazing range of colors also, which I think is so important. If you want to appeal to different types of people, you have to have a good range of colors, and NARS definitely does that. The consistency of this foundation is very watery. It's a very thin foundation, so you're not going to get something very high coverage. You're going to get something from light to medium coverage, so if you don't have too many skin problems, this is a great foundation for you. However, you could always add on concealer and make any foundation that you're wearing work for you, in my opinion. This foundation, I think, works best with the Beauty Blender, but you don't have to use it like that. You can obviously use a brush. A great brush for this one is the Sigma SS 187 or the MAC, you know, 188, whatever. A stippling brush like this works really well. I have also, for a really long time, I used brushes like this, like a synthetic brush, to apply it, and it just looks really, really natural. It's a great finish. It dries semi-sheer on you, so it's going to give you that dewy type of effect, which people love. So it's a great summer and winter foundation for that reason. In the summer, you want to look dewy, and even in the winter, I know that people want to look matte, but I don't think that looks appealing. So I love this foundation. This is in the color Syracuse, and this is one that I usually, you know, wear all the time. Great tinted moisturizer is Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer SPF 20. This is oil-free. I really like the way this comes on your skin. It looks, I mean, it's a tinted moisturizer, so it doesn't give you much coverage, but it gives you more than most tinted moisturizers do. It looks uber natural. This will look more natural than the NARS Sheer Glow because it is a tinted moisturizer. However, if you don't powder this, it doesn't look good, in my opinion, because it gives you kind of like that greasy look, and even no matter how dry you are, you don't want to start off your day looking like that. So in terms of just a tinted moisturizer, I don't think it's that great because you can't just use this as a tinted moisturizer and go out the door. They don't have very good shades in this. They only have like maybe 6 or 7 colors, so finding your shade is going to be difficult. This shade is the color Tan. It is maybe 1 or 2 shades darker than my skin color, so I have to be wary when I wear this. I can't just wear this and know that I look amazing. I do have to like really buff it into my skin, but I do like it. This one was, I think, like $34 or so it is a pricey foundation, or tinted moisturizer, sorry, but I think that it's worth it if you do like something to look very natural on you. It is going to stay natural all day. It does stay on all day, and it has SPF 20, so that's good because you are protected from the sun. I forgot to mention the NARS Sheer Glow is $42, if you guys are wondering, and it does not have any SPF. My next foundation is the Diorskin Air Flash Foundation. I was so wary about buying this foundation, one, because it was $65, which is a big deal because I feel like no foundation should be that much. And also it's an aerosol can, so I love to buff my foundations and make them look as natural as possible. And when I first got this, I wanted to use this like it was meant to be, just to spray it on your face. I've tried that method. It doesn't work very well at all. I do have a video on how I use this, so I will post that somewhere in this video for you guys to see, like a link to it. Being that it's expensive, I did expect it to be good, and it is like amazing. I think that this is one of those foundations that you have to be very careful about the way you apply it. You can't just apply it however you want to and expect it to work. I think that the only way it works is if you use a really, really good kabuki brush. So the one that I use is this MAC one. It came out with a collection a while ago. It's the MAC 179. It is half natural fibers, half synthetic, and I think that works amazingly well. I spray it on here directly and then buff it into my skin. So it is a foundation that is not the most user-friendly because I think that is like the only way to put it on, basically. Also, this being that it's an aerosol can, you can kind of shake it and feel that there is a little bit of product in it, but it runs out without like giving you any notice, because there's no way for you to look inside the can and figure out, you know, how much is left. The shade range is terrible. There's only 5 colors, so if you don't fit in there, then it's not going to suit you, which really sucks, because this foundation, when you spray this on, you don't even need to powder. That's how perfect this thing goes on. At least for me, the color match is so, so good, and when I spray this on, there's no need for me to powder, even though I have oily skin, which is a big deal. I do pair this with a good primer underneath, of course. This photographs beautifully. It's one of the rare foundations that photographs really, really well, regardless of what kind of camera you're using. It's expensive, and Dior does need to come up with a few more colors because I think it's such a good foundation. I know the price tag is hefty, and there's also no method for you to just try this because you obviously can't get a sample of this, but you know, most companies like Sephora and stuff will give you your money back, even if you try something and give it back to them, and you know, you're returning an open package. So I really think you guys should definitely try this out. It's one of the most brilliant foundations I've ever had the opportunity to try. Next is my Youngblood Mineral Moisture Radiance Tint. This is in the color Tan. Youngblood, I didn't know anything about this product or these or this cosmetic line at all before. And I went to New York and had the chance to learn about it, so I wanted to try it out. I think their products are so superior to many, many other companies. This is a company that I think is not advertised much, so most people don't know about it. This is going to give you more coverage than the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer. Also with this, if you don't have oily skin, you don't have to powder it, which is great because when you put it on, it looks great on. You're not going to need that extra help unless you have super oily skin, because the way it goes on, it sets beautifully. You don't need more help. Again, this doesn't have a million shades, so if you don't have your shade in here, it might be kind of hard to figure it out. I think that the texture is beautiful. Like when you put this on, it's almost like water, which is interesting because I feel like that's not going to give me much coverage. When you put it on, it does. It stays on all day. It photographs really well because I guess it does not have SPF in here. That's one of the main reasons for why things don't photograph very well. I love this tinted moisturizer. I think the packaging is super, super chic, but it is expensive. I think it was like $40. So it's not very, very affordable, but I think that if you do find your shade, you should try this. It's one of my favorites. My next foundation that I want to talk to you guys about is the Make Up For Ever HD foundation. I think the shade range for this foundation is phenomenal. There's probably about 20 colors or so, so it's very difficult not to find your shade. It blends like a dream. In my kit, I literally only keep this one color and a dark color. Like, I think this is one of the lightest ones. This is 120, then I have like a 175 or something. So, very, very opposite colors, and I blend those together and I'm able to come up with anybody's skin color. So that's a big deal. These things blend amazingly well, like I said. Again, they are expensive. They are $40, but it is HD quality. It looks amazing on camera. It really sinks into your skin. Will look very, very natural. The only thing with this is that the pump tends to break off really easily, and sometimes these lids that go on top of here will not fit in properly, so they come off really easily. So I'm not a huge fan of the packaging. I think it could have been made a little bit better. This is kind of inexpensive, cheap packaging in my opinion, but the product it holds in here is great. There is a lot of makeup in here. I've had this in my kit for probably about a year and a half, and I'm not even halfway done with this. The consistency of this is, it's like a liquid. I think it's the most true liquid foundation consistency that you would think of. It goes on to where I think that you should powder it, even if you've got dry skin, just because it does have a kind of wet look. And you might like that, and if you're, you know, super dry, then that's fine, but most people would powder this foundation. I mean, I love this foundation. It just photographs so well. Most makeup artists, if you talk to them, probably use this in their kit. And then another foundation by Make Up For Ever, Matte Velvet Plus, right here. I've done a video on this a long time ago, probably about 2 or 3 years ago when I first started YouTube. This is probably the go-to foundation if you've got oily skin. Before I found a primer to solve all of my oily skin problems, I didn't know what to do. I had never even heard of a primer. I, never really wanted to use one, just thinking that it's too many extra steps. I tried this out. I didn't need anything under it. It's that good. The packaging sucks. It's the worst thing ever. Like, I hate tubes like this because you can't really see what's in the bottom, how much there is left. Therefore, you're never gonna know when you run out. This product is super, super thick. It almost, I mean, to me, when I saw this on my hand, it looked like glue with the color. So it is something that's going to be thick. It is going to cover your pores. It is going to make you look good, but if you're not careful, this can make you look very, very unnatural, I think. The best way to apply this, I think, is with a normal synthetic brush. They've got amazing shades in this one. Hands down, the best foundation for oily skin. This one, I think, was $42 also. Again, I know that I'm talking about expensive foundations, but being a makeup artist, I haven't really used many drugstore products just because when a client books you, they want you to use expensive products on them, and they're not going to be happy if you're pulling out all drugstore brands, just because since most clients can't afford the high-end stuff when they come to a professional, they want you to use that kind of stuff on them. So I'm really sorry. I know that I never end up, you know, doing drugstore stuff. I know that you guys have asked so many times, but I just, you know, I don't want to go out there and buy tons of products in drugstore that I already have in the high-end side. So, one, you definitely don't need to powder it. I always did just because I was so scared about my oil breaking out throughout the day, but you really don't need to. I have never met anybody who has managed to not like this foundation if they have oily skin. Then another great tinted moisturizer is the OCC Tint. This is by OCC Cosmetics. Again, it's a company that I think a lot of makeup artists know about, but not the normal consumer. This I really like because it's very easy to blend. It's very thin. I think that it's a little bit thinner than a liquid foundation. It doesn't have amazing coverage, but again, it's a tinted moisturizer, so it's not supposed to. I really like the fact that you can blend this really easily. This doesn't have too many colors, so for me, I do blend 2 colors, but it doesn't give you much coverage, so you are going to have to conceal on top of that if you don't have good skin, but as a tinted moisturizer, definitely does its job. Also, after it sets, it looks beautiful on. You don't have to powder. And I have really oily skin, so I don't powder it just because I have a good primer now. But more than that, I think it looks better when it's lighter just by itself without adding on extra layers of stuff. This packaging is absolutely the worst thing ever. This little thing right here pulls up and you can squeeze it out. Somehow, whenever I'm trying to squeeze this out, it gets stuck somewhere in here, and I'm squeezing, and then a ton of it will fly out. So I have honestly ended up wasting so much of it because of the packaging. It looks like very cheap plastic. When I first got it, I thought this was a joke because I did not expect it to look like this. But then I have 2 more MAC foundations to show you guys. I can't even believe I have MAC foundations in here because MAC foundations to me are the devil. They never look good on camera. They don't ever deliver, according to me. But then I found these 2 and I love them. My first one is the Pro Longwear foundation. I'm wearing this on today and I absolutely adore it. I haven't worn it in a long time and I haven't done a video with it in a long time, but I wanted to wear this today just because I'm trying to use all my foundations. I have so many and I've told myself I'm not buying any more until I get done with all of these. So maybe in 5 or 10 years you'll see another foundation video from me. But this is a Pro Longwear SPF 10. Now let me explain to you, though this has SPF, it still photographs like a dream. I have no idea how, because when I went to the MAC store to get this, you know, last year when it came out, that was my first question. I don't like to buy something if it's not going to photograph well, just because I don't think you should have separate products for photographing and other things for when you're not being photographed, because you shouldn't have to plan taking pictures. So on first glance, this is the most yellow foundation I've ever seen in my entire life, and my skin actually has more pink than it does yellow. So I like to neutralize it with yellow, but when I saw this, and I was just like, okay, that is not going to match because it is so freaking yellow, right? But it's amazing. This is a thicker foundation. Again, most MAC foundations are, so it's going to be a little bit more like a cream foundation than a liquid. But when you put it on, it soaks on really well. You are going to have to move really fast with this because it's kind of drier. It's like a cream and, you know, you can't exactly maneuver those as well. This is a pretty full coverage foundation. Actually, it is a full coverage foundation. I would say that you honestly don't need concealer or anything on top of this unless you've got really bad skin. I have never had to do anything on top of this. And it's one of those foundations that I think when you look at it in the bottle, you're going to think, okay, I don't know about that, because the color range is really interesting. The NC and the NWs really look opposite. Like, the NC all of them look so yellow. The NWs look so pink that I feel like no one's real skin can match it. but when you put this on, somehow it molds to your skin and ends up working out just fine. So that's an interesting quality about this one. This is probably the only MAC foundation besides the face and body that I think photographs really well, so I was really pleased with that. My last foundation right here is the Match Master. This is an SPF 15 foundation. Again, it has SPF, so therefore it's not going to photograph to, amazing levels, which is fine. I think this is a foundation for you if you have the oily skin on the planet. This and the Makeup Forever HD right here are on par to be my #1 crown jewel for oily skin. MAC actually said that they released this foundation with a natural agent in this. I think it's some sort of plant extract that controls oil, and I didn't really think it would actually work really well, but it does. It works like a charm. Also, it's a bigger bottle. This is 1.2 fluid ounces. This thing's gonna last for freaking forever. And the colors are interesting. This is a 6. This does not go in NC, NW form. It goes from 1 to 10. And each color, it matches NW's and NC shades. So therefore, they are neutral foundations. When you look at this, you might think that it is actually an NC, but it's not. It's supposed to match NC 42, NW 37 or something like that, 40 maybe. That does actually happen because I bought this in Vegas. I forgot my other good foundation at home, so I bought this instead. And I used this on myself and on my mom, and it matched both of us. My mom's skin is so pink. It's way pinker than mine, and it worked really well on her. This is very thick. It definitely is much closer to a cream foundation than a liquid. And because of that, you have to be careful with how you put this on. Good packaging, lots of product. Great for oil control. I probably would not suggest this to people who have dry skin because this is going to dry out your skin even more. And if you already have dry skin, this is setting to be matte. It says it is a semi-matte finish, but I really think that it is completely matte because there's no shine on my face anywhere once I apply this. So if you already have dry skin, probably stay away from this one. And then my last foundation is going to be my Graftobian foundations. Okay, so this is my Graftobian neutral palette right here. It has 18 shades of foundation. You might think that each of these little squares are really small, and yeah, they do look small, but they have a lot of product in here. So it's nice because it is a cream foundation, and most people, who hate cream foundations, including me, because I've never been a fan of them, they've never worked out for me, you will probably really like this. It is definitely thick, just like most creams are, so you can get really high coverage from it. Somehow, however, this foundation ends up looking the most natural out of all of my foundations. It's really, really interesting because I've never liked cream foundations for that reason. I feel like it goes on like a mask and it looks so thick and never looks natural. This one is the complete opposite. It is one of the most natural foundations I've ever used. It looks, out of all these foundations right here, this and the Makeup Forever HD photograph the best by far. Also, if you're not a makeup artist, I probably wouldn't suggest getting the palette. You can get all of these colors separately. So if you figure out, what your shade is, you can go ahead and buy that separately and use that. But for my purposes, being a makeup artist, this is nice because I have all my colors to blend and to kind of work together to create a color, a custom color for somebody. Also, for somebody who gets tanned a lot, who goes from looking light to dark all throughout the year, this is a great option for you because you have everything in here. This was pricey. It was like $80-something, but I mean, I'm getting 18 foundations. So if you divide it up, then it's not that bad. This is a foundation that if you don't like high coverage, then you can mix this with like a MAC, face and body mixing medium to make it lighter coverage and to make it go on better. I think that it's pretty difficult to put on, to be completely honest. I've tried mixing it with the face and body with a spatula, and after a lot of wear and tear, it ends up working out just fine, but it's not that fast to apply. So I actually suggest using a brush like this, like the normal quintessential foundation brushes from years ago, because that's the only one that's worked out for me. It definitely looks very natural. However, it has no oil control properties in here. So if you've got oily skin, make sure you use a phenomenal primer and that you powder the heck out of your face because this is not going to last if you don't. Important. If you've got dry skin, this is probably the most amazing foundation. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any more questions about foundation, feel free to ask and I'll be sure to get back to you guys. Bye!